Today, we're going to explore the differences between women in the Philippines and Thailand. Basically, men and women are all the same. We're all men and we're all women. However, there's some culture and some differences between the women of the Philippines and the women of Thailand. The number one similarity of women in the Philippines and in Thailand is their looks. The women in both countries look fairly similar, and their countries are not so far apart. And the women in their 20s, especially, are stunningly beautiful in both countries. The Philippines is primarily a Christian country, and the main religion in the Philippines is primarily Catholicism. However, there's many different kinds of Christian churches in the Philippines. Unlike the Philippines, when I was in Thailand, I saw a lot of Buddhist temples and monks, and the monks were in the street walking around in the morning, people feeding them, and it's just a really different culture experience than from the Philippines. And I must say, as a tourist, as a visitor to Thailand, it was pretty fun. It was exciting to see the monks. I was at their temples and they're coming down by the droves, and I watched them pray, and it was just a really interesting culture, one that I'm not used to. I'm used to more of the Christian culture, but the Buddhist culture was definitely fun to experience. And I'm not exactly sure about the whole culture of the Thailand, but it seemed like the Buddhist kind of religion was the main flow. And I'm sure they have Christian churches as well. Let's get back to the women. Now in Thailand, the women don't speak English. English is not really a main language taught in schools in Thailand. And women know very little English, if any. So as a foreigner, when you go to Thailand, and it's difficult for foreigners to also learn the Thailand language, as well as difficult for the Thailand people to learn English. So it creates a sort of communication problem when a foreigner goes to Thailand. In the Philippines, the worst speaking English women probably are the best speaking English women in Thailand. English is taught as early as a secondary school, middle school, elementary school. It's taught in high school also. So the Philippine people, they get taught the English language pretty much from birth. A lot of families, they teach their young babies or young children English, I've noticed, in the households. So English is a predominant language in the Philippines, and it is a big advantage for the foreigner when they come to the Philippines and they have a English-speaking girlfriend that knows how to communicate. There's different levels, of course, of English speaking in the Philippines, but it doesn't matter. If a girl just understands a little bit, you can work with her, you can teach her. I've had a girlfriend before that didn't hardly speak any English, and by the time she left me for another guy, she spoke excellent English. She had a dictionary, she was studying the words, she spoke English to me all the time. And that's one of the reasons why I don't speak a lot of Tagalog and different languages, Visaya and these kind of languages, because I've always been able to talk English. And it's really helped me be lazy in learning the languages. I know some Tagalog, but I don't have to know these languages to get around. And also the girls, they like speaking English because it helps better their English. Since the women don't speak much English in Thailand, and then let's say you go to a province, I've heard many stories of foreigners going to a province and their girlfriend speaks, let's say, a little English. And then these girls, they live near their families in these provinces, and they're probably pretty good girls and everything. I'm not saying anything bad about the women, but it's the language problem. And then they introduce you to their family, their mother, their father, their brothers, their sisters, and nobody speaks English. And you as a foreigner feel left out. Let's say you go to a dinner, a family dinner, and they're all speaking in Thai. And you're like feeling uncomfortable, like what's going on here? So it's a big difference in the languages, especially if you go to a country that doesn't speak much English. I've experienced that with Philippine families that don't speak much English. And it's very uncomfortable to just sit there and listen to people speak in their own language. And you don't know if they're insulting you or not. If you're a foreigner and you go to the big cities in Thailand, like Bangkok and a few other big cities, don't expect to probably find true love, because the women there, they see foreigners coming every weekend, every week, and they make the foreigners a business. It's much like a pay to play business. And if you go to the bars and stuff, don't expect to meet your dream woman, because if she starts a relationship with you, she might be after your money. I've heard lots of stories where guys have met women, bar girls, and they've been taking advantage of. Some have lost their entire savings because the girls manipulated them. They started businesses, and the foreigners got soaked for all their money. So don't get involved in something like that. And if you're looking for true love in the big cities in Thailand, probably not the place for you. Also, the same might be true in the Philippines. If you go to a large city like Manila or Cebu or other cities that are large, there's lots of women. They're looking for foreigners, especially in places like Angeles City, just north of Manila. It's like Las Vegas Central. There's lots of bars and bar girls and prostitutes, and it's just a wild place. One time when I was going motorcycle riding at Mount Pinatubo, my friend Rick, we drove through Angeles City, and I just saw so many wild bars. I thought I was in Las Vegas. And luckily we went during the day. I can only imagine what it would be like at night. So some of these places in the Philippines are just as bad as Thailand. And if you're looking for a bar girl to be a girlfriend or to have a relationship with, you're probably picking the wrong woman in the Philippines also. So these kind of places in big cities do gravitate with a lot of these prostitute style women, bar girls, and girls out basically for your money. I'm not exactly sure what the Thailand culture is. Like I say, a lot of people may be in the Buddhist community, and I'm not sure exactly what their religious beliefs are. It seems like the people are really nice, though, in general. And it seems to me like the women are not the kind of women that I would probably want to date, although I'm sure there's fabulous Thai women. They're gorgeous, like I mentioned. But being the language and the religious differences and stuff, I'm not sure if that's compatible for a long-term relationship. However, in the Philippines, it seems much more friendly for foreigners to be able to meet women, to speak to them, to develop that relationship, to communicate with their families, and to have an overall positive experience in the dating situation. So it just depends on the person. And, all women are different. Just because you're from the Philippines doesn't mean you're good. Just because you're from the Philippines doesn't mean you're bad. And just because you're from Thailand doesn't mean you're good or bad. Same with my country. I'm from California, and I know lots of Californians I don't like in the Philippines. So it's just a matter of personal preference. This is part one, and part two, we're going to talk more about some of my experiences in the Philippines, dating women with their families, and also with Thailand a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more about Thailand, but primarily we'll talk about the Philippines because I have more experience in that. But thank you so much for hanging out with us today, talking women in the Philippines and women in Thailand. And if you enjoyed this show, please subscribe and like, and we appreciate you. And thank you so much for your time. We're going to talk more women. We like that one. And thanks so much. And we're going to look forward to seeing you. Yeah, we're going to see you next time.